Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. We are super excited. We have a returning guest. You guys all know him, Joshua Smith, GSD Mode Podcast, one of the best podcasts out there. We're going to be talking about the market. We're going to be talking about pivoting, adjusting, adapting to what are you going to do, where are you going to go, how are you going to get new business in this changing market with technology and different types of options for lead gen. Before we get into all this knowledge, we're going to peel back his skull. We're going to dive deep into it, and we're going to pluck out some knowledge where you guys can put it into your business. But before we do that, Mr. Nick Zakas, how are you, buddy?
What's up, buddy? I'm so excited because, we always have a favorite bald person on this show, but Joshua is somebody that I've looked at for probably a decade. When I first started getting into real estate, Real Geek site, getting into when I first saw him doing his GSD trainings way back when, and I'm like, why is this guy giving up all this information for free? Like, why is he doing all this? And then seeing the evolution of his business, I'm so pumped to have him on the show. And you said breaking into your skull. I hope we can extract as much knowledge as possible. But Gene, I'm sorry to tell you, I have a new favorite bald person on the show today, so don't take offense, but you'll get over it.
I have a new favorite bald guy on the show today, and it's not me. So I'm with you 100%, bro. I got it.
Love this.
So, Gene Volpe, you got back from traveling Europe and doing all kinds of fun things. So, welcome back, man. We're glad to have you.
It's great to be back. Not really. I wish I had other stories to tell you. I wish I was back there. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
listen, is there a rumor or is there no ice in Italy? I've heard there's no ice in drinks, that they don't believe in having ice cold anything.
What? Yeah, no, mostly everything that you got to ask for it, basically.
You got to ask for ice. So
they have it, but for the most part, like when they give you sodas and stuff, they just give you the bottle, they give you the can, but you can get it. You just have to ask.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, let's ask for something from our guest and let's bring him in. Mr. Joshua Smith, how are you, brother? What's new? What's happening?
Yeah, no, I'm stoked to be here. Appreciate the kind words and having me back on, man. This is going to be fun. So, just cranking, man, just pushing through these, challenging times that we're all experiencing. But, I want to make sure that we're not just surviving, but thriving. There's so many opportunities to go out there and snag market share right now. So, as much as I hate seeing people struggle during these changing markets, on a personal note, I love them because it creates so much of an opportunity to just go out there and dominate.
It really does. And a lot of people, it takes a different type of an eye to see when that shift and change needs to take place. And we were talking about some folks are reaching out to you and you're seeing a lot of folks kind of asking questions like, what do I do? How do I do it? So on and so forth. So what is your perception? I mean, as a team leader, as a top podcaster, as a industry, veteran, what are you seeing out there right now?
Yeah, dude, it's a challenge for a lot of people. And the reason that the challenge exists, and I think that, most of us know this, so I'll be quick on this, but, we are currently amongst the most unaffordable time in United States recorded history just to operate as a human being. You got life is 35% more expensive, if not more than that today than it was pre-COVID. So with inflation, obviously that carries over to the most unaffordable real estate climate that we've ever seen, with almost record high prices, some areas record high prices, but most areas almost record high prices. They might be down slightly from the peak in 2021, but you combine that with cost of capital, dude, it's just life is unaffordable, which has just removed about 50% of the consumer from being able to transact and play in this given real estate market. So when you got almost half of the population that's unable or unwilling to transact in this given market, well, we need to make some big shifts. When you look at listing inventory, when you look at transaction volume, and we're down about 40-year lows, transaction volume alone is as low as it was in 2008. So, just some different adjustments, man. But adjustments are always happening, shifts are always happening, whether it's market related, whether it's technology related, whatever. I mean, the step number one, I guess, with this, and then we can take it whatever direction you want. But step number one is just it's a mindset perspective, man. It's a philosophy that, I have found that we need to operate by, which is just understanding there's no such thing as a good market, no such thing as a bad market. The market is always good for somebody. So us as real estate professionals need to be able to identify whom the market is good for, meaning where are those biggest current opportunities at, and then pivot, shift, and adapt our overall marketing strategy, our focus, our energy, and our time to who the market is currently good for. And right now, it's not a market you want to go after the wants, man. You need to go after those people that need to sell, that need to buy, that have that true motivation, desire, desperation. So you got to have a very targeted approach. Right now it's like working your ass off. We all got to put in more hours right now, put in more work, or at least most of us. But then also a shift up of strategy, which we can get into if you guys want as well.
That's 100% yes, we're going to get into that. And that was one hell of an intro. Thank you for that. Good God. Yeah. And the show's over, ladies and gentlemen. Take those words of knowledge and be good, my children. Talk about pivoting. A lot of folks are truly petrified of a pivot because that's translated into going into uncharted territories, something I haven't done before, a skill set I don't know about. I'm personally doing it in two different ways. I'm getting into buying properties on terms, and then I'm going to work with one of my friends and start doing some wholesaling. I don't know really much about either one of them, and that pivot is scaring me, but it's also an opportunity to growth. It keeps me in my stretch zone of growth, not my comfort, my stretch, and not my stress. My stress will stress you out, but your stretch is growth. Josh and Gene and Nick, what are you guys seeing in the marketplace right now that is really kind of the one thing that's stretching the agents the most? Josh, let's start with you and kind of give me your insight, because I know you have your finger on the pulse.
Well, it's, I mean, to your point of, change being scary. Look, change is the one thing that's always taken place, always is taking place, and always will take place. So why have resistance to something that is just, I mean, it's as true as gravity, right? Like, so it's going to happen. And if you don't, is Darwin, mentioned that it's not the strongest that survive, it's he or she that adapts the most effective and efficient manner that goes out there and survives and thrives. So like embrace it, learn to embrace the change. And I get, that element of anything new can be a new challenge, can be scary. It's easy to get in that comfort. But dude, if you don't get moving, man, you're going to be ran the fuck over. Right. So you got, so number one, embrace it. And I don't know, I don't want to hog all the time here. I can jump into specific changes, but I'll kind of shut up and let you lead here.
No, man, that's why we're having you on the show. Nick and Gene, I want him to come back to that. But Nick, give me some thoughts on what you're seeing on the tech side about changes and adapting and pivoting.
Well, the first thing, I love what you said, Joshua, about the market's always good for somebody, right? And I think, in our pre-show, we were talking about how we're having conversations with agents right now. And, you on the coaching side, me kind of on the technology side, I do a little bit of coaching as well. But like, agents had record years during the pandemic. And now all of a sudden, the same things that they were doing at that point are not working as well, and they haven't pivoted yet. And it's almost like you put the frog in the boiling water and it doesn't know it's dead till like it's dead. Right. So like, I think we had an excellent pandemic. A lot of agents really crushed it. And then they slowly, pandemic. I mean, you know what I mean? An excellent sales during the pandemic. Right. And then it started to slow. And then things are starting to get slower and slower. And so all of a sudden it's like the past 3 months, all the conversations I'm having are like, oh shit, my business has fallen in half. And I just realized it. Like, what do I do now? Right.
So let's talk about that. Gene, when you see people in your side of the business as well, I mean, are they shifting? Are they changing? What are they doing? Are they just sitting there going to be the frog and die?
Hold on for a second. Hold on. I'm surfing.
Collecting your thoughts.
No. I'm looking
at a video. We're about to pull up a video here.
Well, listen, I'm on Ticketmaster. I'm looking at StubHub. Josh, anywhere I can get tickets for that fucking gun show you got over there? So listen, I mean, I'm online.
You're watching it.
I am. I got the free seat. Well, listen, this is why I ask. I'm kind of pivoting a little bit. I'm asking this for a reason because I think I heard some buzzwords. I heard some things that keep moving. You said keep moving. So clearly, I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at the veins, and I'm looking at the guns, and you're actually out there and hustling in a couple different ways, right? You're probably hitting the gym. Talk to me a little bit about that routine, because I think for me, I know when I'm at my worst, I'm not doing any of that. When I'm at my best, I'm doing it 12 times a week. What are you doing these days? Because I think, Greg, this is kind of it's not really where you were taken in the path.
No.
But I think it's definitely something where in markets like this where things are changing, let me pull together. In markets like this, when things are changing, people get in their own way a lot. Like you just said. Yeah. As you said it, like change is inevitable, right? Like Darwin's law, all that stuff. It's going to happen, but it's how you react, and how you react is a lot of times dictated by how you feel, and how you feel is dictated by what you're doing. So talk to me a little bit about your daily routine. Tell me about what are you doing? Because you look different than when I was just saying, I was on your show GSD a while back, and you definitely look in better shape. Not that you didn't look in good shape then, but you look in better shape now than you were. Is there something to be said about that? Let me leave that there.
Yeah, I've always been well, at least for the most part of my adult life, I've been a gym rat. If you guys know my backstory, I mean, I used to, be morbidly obese, almost got up to 300 pounds, and, realized the negative implications that created on my life, both physically and mentally. And, I decided to choose, change things around, lost over 100 pounds, kept it off now for over a decade. And, through there, I've had different phases and different paths that I've chosen in health and fitness, whether that be, more the cardio side, the long-term endurance side. But as I started getting older, I started just assessing, okay, what's most important to me and what's most important as I go into my older years. So now, that I'm in my early 40s, I'm 41 now today, just started really breaking that down and thinking about,
wait. You glossed the fuck over that way too quick. It's your birthday today?
No.
Oh, I got that too.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry for the confusion. So, I meant like, as like in this moment, I'm 41 years old. But anyway, when I started looking at that, it was like, okay, like what's most important for those longer years of life? Okay, when I'm 70, when I'm 80, what hobbies do I want to be able to continue to do? And then from, to increase overall longevity. But then not just, I don't want to just live as long as I possibly can. I want to have that quality of life. So then over the years, I've really morphed in, okay, well, what is the best diet? What is the best routine? What is the best, thing for me to be intentional with that? And with this, so many people think that this takes so much time, but it doesn't, man. I mean, I train, I spend an hour a day, 5 days a week working out, but outside of that, I work freaking 15, 16-hour days, I work a ton, but if you're intentional with the diet, intentional with the meal prep, which doesn't, all the excuses people use, it costs too much money. Right? Like, no, dude, I probably spend a hell of a lot less than the average person on food because I'm not going out there and ingesting shit, and I'm not going out there and going through drive-throughs, or, like if you're meal prepping, it can be pretty damn inexpensive. If you follow a diet like mine, which is just, I only eat one ingredient foods. Like if my great grandparents didn't eat it, I don't eat it. I eat one ingredient, whole foods, I drink nothing but water, but to your point, Gene, of, so many people don't realize, and unfortunately I had to go to the extreme to experience this, but the negative implications of our health, not just from a physical aspect, but from a mental aspect, man. So much of today's, mental diseases when it comes to, depression, anxiety, a lot of the mental problems that people have today is directly associated to their health. It's not, some people have, I don't want to say there's not mental disorders that exist out there due to, chemical imbalance, whatever. Yeah, sure. Right. It's a small subset of them, but the vast majority, so, and I look at this and look, I'm willing to admit that, there's an element of vanity that exists to me, so dude, like there's a certain percentage of body fat in a certain way that also it impacts my confidence. I just, when I'm healthy and I have the mental energy and the physical energy, plus I'm happy with my body, I'm proud of my body, like it allows me to perform on all different fronts at a whole new scale. Number one, I can go out there and grind 18-hour days if I need to. 14-hour days more my liking, but there's days that when you're running 7 businesses and going out, sometimes that happens, right? Well, I want to be able to just go 18 hours a day, nonstop, whether it's work or family, get my sleep, but then have an abundance of energy throughout that time, mental and physical energy. To go out there and operate at my best. So yeah, I'm very intentional with it. Most people are like, oh, my car is my vehicle. No, this is our only vehicle that we have to operate this life by, and it's your choice. Do I want to treat it like shit, or do I want to go out there and optimize it and treat it the best I possibly can to go out there and allow myself the best experiences? And it does make an impact when it comes to your business, when it comes to sales, when it comes to, all of that stuff carries over. And we can get into that stuff if you want to, but.
No, it was great. It was perfect. It was perfect. I think, because right now we're in a space where I think, for most real estate agents, business is down, and when business is down and you're forced to reflect and look at all the things that aren't working, you tend to make it worse, right? I'm in that space when it happens to me all the time. But so now take that dead time where you're laying in bed looking at the ceiling, and go take a walk, get on the Peloton, go hit the gym, go meal prep, whatever. I think there's time and space in there now for a lot of people because of the way the economy is and what the housing market is like, to fill that space where typically they'd be hustling, showing open houses and running buyers around, and to maybe make yourself a little bit better and healthier mentally and physically.
Well, and I'd even, argue that in a slightly different way of look, I think that everybody should be filling their schedule as much as they possibly can, of taking action and making deals happen right now. But then from there, a lot of people think, oh, this, health journey takes so much time. No, it creates time, Right. So, I mean, if, you know, and again, dude, it's, I mean, 5 hours of my week, right? So it doesn't take a lot of time. Like I don't really do much like when I'm doing my cardio, I'm doing that while I'm doing sales calls, right? Like in my office, you know, so, I mean, I'm, you know, hitting the gym resistance training, which I found to be the best for me and the best overall for longevity, especially as we age. You want to have as much skeletal muscle that you can maintain and retain as possible going into your older years, you know, but with that, it doesn't take near as much time as most people think. And then it also creates that time. Right. Because I mean, I can get more done in 5 hours than most can in 12 or 14 hours because I have an abundance of mental and physical energy to, you know, in that focus. And, you know, and so, I mean, right now, yeah, I mean, you can't impact one element of your life without impacting another element. And probably something that all of us experience, maybe not everybody, hopefully not everybody, but a lot of us have. And I know I've been in this category. Right. Like, let's just say, okay, your marriage is not doing well. Your one, you know, an important relationship to you is not doing well. Well, it's very difficult for me to go out there and perform at my best in business when in the back of my mind, I don't know if I'm coming home to divorce papers or not, because maybe I'm just being an asshole douche, neglecting my wife or whatever it been. You know, I've been there. I'm not proud to admit it, but I've been there. Right. So, but it was very difficult. Like if shit wasn't good at home, it's difficult for me to be laser focused in business. Yeah. Same thing with my health. I've just found, man, like you can't impact one area of your life without impacting the other area of your life. You know, it all comes together.
So let's talk about that. When it comes to mentally impacting your health, your mental, your personal, your business, you know, every kind of health. Folks right now, like we've talked about now for the third time on the show, that the business is down. That's impacting people's mental health. When people, what are they doing, or what have you recommended to folks to kind of get back on the track, get back into that prosperous mindset, not the defeated mindset, and allow them to get back on track, get it back on the treadmill, get back to doing cardio, you know, air quotes on that. But in the business world, what's the first step for somebody who just got kicked in the taint super hard and they lost $100,000 on a deal or something, or 2 deals or 10 deals, but the money's not going to come in? How do you get someone like that out of the swamp in their brain? Because that's a pretty deep swamp.
Yeah, I mean, the number one step is okay, I'm gonna break that down. We're gonna reflect on that, right? So step number one, when I'm down or anytime I'm going through a down spot, and I've been there, and we've all been there, right? In all different aspects. I haven't met anybody that's achieved great success that hasn't been through the insane amounts of shitstorms, right? So as the great Napoleon Hill says, the amount of success that you create in this life is going to have is in direct proportion to the amount of temporary defeats that you experience. So, with that being said, step number one is I'm going to assess the situation that created that pain, right? And not from, I'm not going to self-sabotage. I'm not going to be like, I'm a loser from this. I'm going to take an objective lens from this as I reflect back. Okay, here's what happened. I'm going to take 100% responsibility. How was this my fault? What could I have done to prohibit this? What can I do now and going forward and in the future to ensure this doesn't happen again? Look, the biggest issues that I've had when it comes to business and financial is when I've allowed myself to get complacent within the element of success that I've created. So I allowed myself then to, when I got complacent, there's always an element of mediocrity that you can operate in, even though that maybe maybe the average is here, you're above average, but you can operate in an element of mediocrity within that, that level of success that you created. And I've done it, right? Where then though, it's inevitable that momentum is going to break, right? So then, okay, well, it's like, then I'm going to break that down. Well, why did I allow myself to lose that momentum? Why did I allow myself to get content and operate mediocrity? So then what can I do from, reflecting on this and learning from this and growing from this to put systems, processes, and things in place to ensure that shit doesn't happen again. So I'm not repeating the same mistake. We're all going to make mistakes, right? But if you're repeating the same mistake over and over, that then becomes a choice. So number one is I'm going to learn from it and grow from it, right? But then from there, in the past is dead, right? Like I'm not going to spend any time in the past. I use the past to just learn, grow, reflect. That's it, because otherwise if we keep living in the past, we get guilt, we get self-sabotage. That's not serving us. Then from there, I'm going to regain clarity on what I want, why I want it, why it's most important to me. Where I find that most people go wrong. Like when people need accountability, what I did, they have an issue with self-accountability because they're not extremely clear on what it is that they want. You got to get extreme clarity on what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you. Then from there, we identify the right proven plan to get you from where you're at to where it is that you want to go within that element of your life. Right. And then with that extreme clarity, it's like, I can't just go out there and, goal plan and put this stuff together. I know this stuff sounds a little woo woo, but it's like, this is why I'm doing vision boards, dude. I write down my goals every morning. First thing I wake up, I write them down again right before I go to bed. I'm going through, 5 minutes a day of just visualization, manifestation of those. I'm keeping that shit front of mind all throughout the day to keep me focused on that thing. So then now I know what target I'm aiming for. And then I'm going to go out there and craft that plan to get me from where I want to where I want to go. And then it's just execution time, dude. Right.
No, why'd you stop? Don't execute.
I didn't. I don't like to do these rants because I can go for like 90 minutes straight.
Dude,
that's why you're here, bro. That's why we talk all this in this show every single week.
Yeah,
we want to hear the nuggets.
I want you to talk about the execution, but this is a little book I keep on my desk. It says, it works, and it stands for you know, if you know what you want, you can have it. And there's 3 little steps, Josh, right to your point. Number 1, read the list that you want 3 times a day, morning, noon, or night. Number 2, thinking about it as often as possible. Number 3, don't tell anybody except for the greater power within, which will unfold the miracles of your future success. And it's true. It's been taught everywhere, but nobody utilizes it because we get told that we're dumb, we're too ambitious, we can't achieve it, we're not smart enough, we're not tall enough, we're not in the best shape, we're not skilled enough, whatever. Everyone beats us down. But when reality, all we have to do is change our mindset, bring us into our different state of thinking, and the things in your brain, people, will manifest in ways that you cannot imagine in a time frame you cannot control that will blow your socks off. And so, Josh, I want you to jump right into action plans and take us right into action plans from there.
Yeah. So then let's talk about, okay, well, why do people not then continue with the action plan? I mean, it's easy to go and maybe go to an event and you get fucking fired up. Yeah. I mean, how often is it like, oh, dude, I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. I'm going to start the gym Monday. You go get the supplements, you go get the workout clothes. Maybe it's Thursday. Like you're fired up. And then, Friday, you're still kind of fired up. Saturday, then by Sunday, you're like, I'm good, right? Law of diminishing intent exists, so you got to learn how to keep yourself fired up each and every single day. And then this is just, some people have this innately. I don't, I went through a period of my life where I was massively depressed, contemplating suicide each and every day. Like for me, like this has to be an intentional thing, because like the second I get away from it, man, I start veering the other way, so then from there, I've learned to not rely on willpower, not rely on discipline. I'm a human being. I'm weak. I have limited discipline, limited amounts of willpower. Now, most people, when I say that to them, they're like, dude, you're the most disciplined person I know. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not, but it may appear that way because I create systems and processes and create my environment to allow me to win.
You have clarity on a routine that you've built, right? And then the routine becomes that's part of your life.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I need to be working out, right? So then from there, it's like, okay, well, why won't I work out? What are the reasons? Well, man, I got to drive to the gym, and then there's certain hours where I got to work later, I got to be in earlier. The gym's maybe not open, okay, let me just, if you have the means to do so, I just created a home gym. So now I've eliminated the excuse. It's right in my house. Like I walk 2 feet, I'm in it. I have no excuse or reason to not do it. Like I've omitted that excuse. Right. So I'll give an example. When I decided to quit drinking alcohol, because there was, years back when I discovered I had a huge issue with alcohol. I couldn't make it till noon without having a drink. I built my real estate business essentially drunk. Oh yeah, man. I mean, just and I mean for a decade plus of time, I was drinking like, dude. A case of beer was like a light day for me, right? So you're drinking 24, 30 plus beers every single day for a decade plus, it was creating, I was a very functional alcoholic, if you will, but it was obviously creating tensions in my marriage. I had young kids. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be me leading by example for my kids, and it can impact that relationship. And then it was prohibiting certain growth within the business. Right. So, I recognized and knew that I had to give this substance up, but I knew that I was massively weak and that this was going to be a massive challenge because again, I couldn't fucking make it till noon. Like I was counting down the minutes each and every day to just have that first drink. Right. So then from there, I'm like, okay, I discovered the problem. I committed, I understood why I needed to give it up, why it was important for me to give it up. So again, what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you. And then I had to craft a plan. So then I'm like, okay, well, I know, just dealing in realities, man. Like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? I'm like, dude, I'm going to cave into this shit. So I just identified and I wrote out, okay, what are all the ways that will allow me to fail in this endeavor? So I'm like, okay, at least how long it's going to take. I didn't know how long it would take, but I'm like, I cannot be in any type of a setting where alcohol is involved. It's going to be hard enough to just battle to fight myself to not drive to the store, drive to the bar. So, I went and had a conversation with my wife. I'm like, dude, we can't have any alcohol in the house anymore. I didn't ask her to stop drinking, with me, but I was just like, I can't have it in the house. Now she was obviously supportive and knew that I needed to quit too. So she was like, okay, but then I'm like, okay, no, I can't go out to eat. I'm like, babe, like if I go to dinner, like I realized, as I was reflecting on this of like, okay, when I go out to eat, like the restaurant I pick is like based on what their beer list is. Like I'm just going to be too weak. I can't. So any get-togethers, family reunions, anything that alcohol is involved, I cannot be around it at all, right?
Yeah.
Until I develop that strength and that willpower. So that was setting up so I was creating a plan, understand what my weaknesses, threats would be at. And then creating my environment to go out there and win. I had conversations with all my close friends, that because they all, like most people, go out there and drink, but they can handle it. I couldn't. And it took me 6 months. I mean, I lived like a monk, where I was essentially, working at the office, going home, but just making sure to like not having any social interactions until I got to the point where I developed the habits where I know, then I could be around that substance and not drink, and, haven't touched a drink ever since, right? So the same thing with your business plan, same thing with everything. It's like, I want to set up my environment. Okay, like, yeah, man, I mean, there's certain vices that I have when it comes to food. I just make sure that shit doesn't exist in my house and exist in my world, right? Like I make it very easy. I pack my meals every day. I make it, where it's just all here, it's prepped, it's ready to go. So same thing with business. Like what are those distractions? What are those things that distract you and prohibit you from taking action on your necessary action plan that you need to do? And a lot of this is the people, right? Like, okay, I'm not going to, surround myself with people that are fucking lazy, that aren't action takers, that aren't, like on the health and fitness journey. Like I don't have any friends that I personally hang out with that are like, oh man, let's just go to fucking get pizza and then ice cream and hang out and drink beer. Like all my homies, it's like, let's go hike this mountain, right? Let's go paddleboarding for 6 hours down the river. So whether it's, business, friends or health and fitness friends, I'm just, making sure to surround myself with like-minded people that have, same values, same goals, same, whatever. It's like, those that I roll with in business and that are my teammates and those that I surround myself with. Like if I ever go down to them or if I ever go to them like, oh man, I need a break, they're going to slap me and be like, you pussy, get back to work. Right? So creating that environment, and part of environment too, a lot of people don't realize is having that self-awareness of knowing when and how you operate at your best. Right. So, I get a lot of crap from people because I wake up between 2 and 3 a.m. every single morning. But I've just discovered like, hey, look, I'm really good and I'm fresh and I have much more discipline and willpower early in the morning. But as the day goes on, like that just starts to wane. And for me, I'm just shit in the evenings. So now I get sleep. I need sleep, but I'm passed out by 8, 9 o'clock every night, usually by 8 o'clock, but I know how I operate. Another example of this is, I battled with this for several months, but it'd be like, let's just say it was a weekend, but I needed to get work done. And I'd be like, oh, well, today I'm going to actually go hang out with the family in the morning. And then I'll go in later in the afternoon and get the work done. I never fucking would. So eventually I started doing realities of, okay, like I'm just going to get in the office at 3 a.m., be done at noon. So then I have the rest of the day with my family. So just, dealing in that realities, having that awareness, setting up your environment to go out there and win. And then the plan is simple. When you talk about the plan itself, it's like, all we got to do is identify what is the proven plan to get us from where we're at to where we want to go. That, and the big key word there is proven. Like none of us are Elon Musk trying to, invent interstellar space travel and revolutionize,
rebranding Twitter,
interstellar. We're trying to do shit that other people have done.
Yeah.
Right. So like, why go out there and try to, the quickest hack to create success is find somebody that's done it, that's mastered it, that's done it right, that's done it well. And then, let them spend the decades figuring it out, where I can reverse engineer what they've done in like a week, and just have the plan to execute on, but the easy part is identifying the plan. The hard part is executing on it day in and day out. And that's why I talk so much about the, mindset, and then also the schedule and the environment and all of those things to keep yourself, just little shit. It's like, okay, when I started getting up early in the mornings, this is when I started having when my wife and I started having our kids. I'm like, okay, dude, like I just need more time because I didn't want to be an absentee father. So I'm like, okay, but business was also really important because I don't like to live in this world of, I can be a great father or I can have great businesses. No, like I'm on a mission to build $1 billion business portfolio and be a great father and be in great shape and do all the shit I want to do, right? That matters most to me. So as I'm assessing that, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, well, instead of getting up at 5 a.m. every morning, I need to start getting up at 3 a.m. Well, it's very difficult for me in the beginning. I'm not naturally that early of a morning person. So when my alarm's next to me, I'd hit the fucking snooze button every single time. And I wouldn't even know I would do it. Like I wake up and be like, oh shit, my alarm didn't go off. My wife would be like, no, dude, you didn't feel me punching you? Like it went off 5 times. Like, right? So then I was like, okay, what's the solution? I know that having it sit next to me isn't going to work. I can't just, I'm going to be stronger tomorrow. Like, okay, I can do that 3 times and then realize, okay, I'm not going to be stronger tomorrow. Right? So then I went and bought the biggest, loudest alarm clock I possibly could. I set it up in my master bathroom. So when it goes off at, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I got to run my ass out of bed, turn off. Otherwise it's going to wake up the whole family. Well, at that point I'm up, I'm awake, so what do you need to do to set up your environment that greatly enhances your ability to go out there and succeed, but at the same time makes it as hard as possible for you to lose?
Well, a couple of things I want to jump in on. I hope everyone goes back and just watches that entire awesome part of the show right there. There's a lot of knowledge. We can't break down all of it there's not enough time in the show, but the number one thing that you identified is the problem with the alcohol, right? I had the same thing. I wasn't doing beer. I was doing vodka. I was drinking a handle of vodka a day. I mean, I was pounding that shit. We got to the point I had to be hospitalized. And I saw the tears of my girlfriend. She never cries, by the way. And she was pouring tears down. And I made that decision. I'm like, there's no fucking way in hell I'm ever going to put her through this again. So that was my why. That was my reason. So I shifted and stopped that negative activity immediately because the ramifications of it continued on a certain path was going to be a outcome I did not desire. A lot of folks have not, or it has not been kicked in the rear end enough or hard enough to understand that is the driving factor. Like Josh, you and I live very similar lives. I get up ass crack early, go to bed pretty damn early, had some alcohol issues. And you know what? We both come back from it because we found what we wanted was better on the other side. So ladies and gentlemen, when you're making a pivot or a shift right now, figure out where your trajectory is heading. If you like it, stay on it. If you don't like it, shift. Now, Josh has talked about how it's not simple. It's not going to be simple, but it is very easy to do with the right motivation. So when it comes down to seeing your significant other sad, upset, your kids the same way, unfortunately, maybe, you can shift all of your outcomes, everything in your life by a simple decision of yes, no. Oh, I would walk down the alcohol aisle and I would look at the vodka and I say, fuck you. You've ruined enough of my life. No. And I walk past it. I take ownership of my situation. So if you guys aren't door knocking, cold calling, networking, open houses, videos, social media, if you're not doing something right now that scares you, but if you keep on your same trajectory, you're going to end somewhere you don't want to end. Joshua didn't want to end up without a wife, without a kid, without his beautiful kiddos, in a place that he wouldn't want to end up because it was simple, easy, and convenient. That's the majority of people's mindsets. It's simple, easy, convenient. Therefore, I stay there. Therefore, you languish. Therefore, you die. Therefore, everyone forgets you exist. Not to be brutal. That's a fucking truth. So shift your life today by one degrees. So Joshua, if you shifted your life by 1 degrees today, which way would you go? What would that look like for you?
Well, I mean, the situation that I'm in, because I've done the work, it's like, family's doing good, relationships are good, knock on wood, health is good. Like all of those are, so right now it's my biggest focus is to go after the opportunities that are existing today and going to continue to open up with the current market changes that we're experiencing. Right. I mean, massive opportunities to go out there. I mean, if you look at this right now, okay. I mean, if you're an agent going out there and looking for buyers and sellers, right? I mean, you've got about 40 to 50% of our industry right now that's either, getting out of the industry or that's completely disengaged. I know NAR has predictions of 15% net loss by the end of this year. But, if you look at this compared to like the great financial crisis, right, which this is as challenging as the great financial crisis, right? If not more challenging, right? At least, from somebody that's been through it and, not just got through it, but thrived during those times as well. But we didn't have all this gig work, so the numbers that I mean, now people can go drive Uber, drive Lyft, maybe think that they're going to do a couple deals. So the actual true numbers may not signify, the actual reality of the situation. But I'm just telling you right now, dude, fucking half of this industry right now is mentally checked out. Now, when I say that, they might still be showing up, but they've given up on just what you talked about, Greg, of pivoting and shifting with those strategies, right? So right now is a time to go out there and down. That market share is going to need to be, it's going to be taken up by somebody, right?
Exactly.
So you just need to make that decision. It's going to be you, or is it going to be anybody, you're somebody else. Now, for me today, now that's what I'm coaching and training my agents to do. Now I'm on, the brokerage, / team side of things now. So my job is to go out there and recruit as many, talented agents that I possibly can into my organization, and, make sure they have all the tools, training, resources, and support they need to go out there and crush it. So what I'm looking at right there is I'm like, dude, there's a massive lack of leadership that brokers and teams are providing to help their agents navigate through these times. They don't know how to do it. They haven't been through it. I'm seeing a record number of team leaders and broker owners having to transition back into production. So they're neglecting their agents. Right. So again, it's just like, fuck, dude, like I'm going to go clean house. Not only I'm going to, we are, but we're going to continue to clean house, and I'm going to get mine, man. Right. Like during this time, man, I'm here to get fucking mine, because I think that this will be, I'm confident this will be the biggest growth opportunity that I've seen yet in my 41 years here on the planet of what we're facing right now. So when you ask that 1% growth question right now, my focus if there's an area I'm improving 1%, which I'm, doing everything I can to, 1% better each and every day, that's, 365% growth year over year. I don't know if, but I'm going to do everything I can to hit it, man. It's time to fucking slay it right now.
Dude, the compound effect kicks in super hard. If you take off from LAX in Los Angeles, California, you're flying to New York, you're off by 1 degree, you're landing in Boston.
Yep.
So, you're not going to get where you're landing, gentlemen. Make that 1% shift. Gene, you have you've been working in the tech and the marketing side for quite a while, along with Nick. What are you seeing? I know you work with a lot of mortgage agents right now. Are the mortgage brokers seeing the same type of thing? Are you seeing that fall off, or what are you guys seeing in that side of the business?
For me, 100%. Yeah, I was actually just talking to an agent about it the other day, and it's funny. It's reminiscent of like 2000, 2001 when the Patriot Act came out. I was actually in tech at that point, and before that, I can remember, like, I worked for Verizon at that time, and they would fly me all over the place, and they basically gave me a black card. They were like, "Yeah, just do whatever you want to do. Like, take clients out. Here's steaks, wine, no problem." And then when all that stuff happened, they squeezed the coffers big time. And it was like, okay, so you get $12 a day to eat. There's no alcohol on that. And I was like, dude, who's going to eat? Like, what am I going to eat? Nuts and lettuce? Like, what are you supposed to eat for $12? So, but I think what they did was they looked across the board. They were like, here's a cost cutting measure we can use to keep the lights on while we're going through this trouble. And I'm seeing the same thing in real estate. And listen, they're tied together. So it makes sense, right? If there's nothing for sale, there's no buyers. If there's no buyers, there's no mortgages for the most part. There's HELOCs and stuff, right? But yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. It's 2.5 years ago. It was, lavish dinners, big parties, everybody out with 30 people in a room. And now it's like, well, what's this $11 charge? We got to make sure we're, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Everybody's really looking at everything. So I would say, same thing. I can't really compare and say if it's worse or better than the real estate space, but yeah, we're seeing the same thing. Nick?
Okay. Yeah, Nick, what about you with growing Lead Max the way you're growing it? What are you hearing from agents that are signing up with you guys?
It's the same story, man. The people that are coming to Lead Max are saying my business is down. I need to implement this feature, right? I need help. And so I think what Joshua said, like going back to just ultimate accountability, everybody wants to be saved. But like at the end of the day, until you have that like flip that switches in your head that like nobody's going to save you, and you need to take ultimate accountability and put a plan into place, like Joshua said, a plan into place so you can't fail, right? Like that's such a powerful statement. Put a plan into place so you can't fail. That's like the quote of this podcast, because I think he lives it. You can hear him talk about it, the passion he has. He's been doing this for over a decade, right? I met him over a decade ago, like with everything that he's doing, and he's been consistent this whole time. And so go back and listen to this episode, but now's the time. Like he said, 2008 happened if you were in this business, but there's a lot of people that didn't experience that are in this business right now, right? And so if you haven't experienced a 2008, you're in that like boiling frog scenario where you're just looking around and everybody that you're talking to is saying the same thing. Find different people to talk to,
Yeah.
right?
That's a true
That's
point.
like a number one pivot. Like if all of your friends are saying the same thing and moping around and oh, poor me and all that, get away from those people. Find the action takers, the people who are doubling down, who are looking at this as an opportunity and not a setback. Like, oh, maybe I should go drive Uber because I haven't sold a house in 2 months. How about maybe you get with a top producer who sold 12 houses in the past 2 months and see what they're doing and get on that side of the equation instead of where you're at.
Well,
Yeah.
because Nick, it's much simpler to mentally masturbate to the idea of what could be a really fun thing to do, aka get a deal, get a big paycheck, everything else. But the grit, the grind, the hustle, the sweat, the blood, the tears, the long hours, that shit ain't shown on TV. Okay, so why do I have to go through it, Nick? That's not fair. Save me. That's what everyone's mentality is. In reality, gentlemen, no one's ladies, guys. When Josh went through the drinking thing, I went through the drinking thing. We found our own way out. We built our own plan because we wanted it bad enough. Figure out what you want that is it has such a draw to you that you can't live without it. Whatever that is, that'll pull you in a positive direction. Take one step. Do one thing. Don't look for $1 billion, $1 trillion. Joshua was on the path for that because he set a goal for it. He set a plan for it. But start one thing. Maybe lose a pound. Go for 2 walks in a week. Do 10 phone calls. Knock on one door. Start small. It won't bite back. You'll figure out it's much easier than what you're coming up with in your brain. So,
Hey, Greg, can I just add something well, I don't know how quick it'll be, but because I do want to tell people what to do in this market. Because we talked a lot about the high level stuff, but it's like, look, anybody that's watching or listening to this could go out there and start, listing a house a day if you wanted to right now in this market, right? Like there's so many opportunities. Yeah, transaction volume's down. We have to pivot strategies, but there's no reason for you that your volume needs to be down in this market. So, and I'll just share a few things with you, a few tips, for right now. So, number one, I said this earlier, but you got to go after those that have a need, not the want. So what most people got accustomed to is just casting this wide net to the general public, and there was enough people in the general public. Like we just got the longest bull market in recorded history. Like we probably won't experience what we just experienced from 2012 till about 18 months ago again in our lifetimes. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, I don't know for sure, but probability of that's low. So we're coming out of a climate where the economy market was just great for everybody. Things have changed with that, right? So now we have to operate as a sniper, not going out there and shotgunning. So again, I talked about earlier, the market's always good for somebody. So you need to identify whom the market is currently good for, who has the motivation, who has the desperation, who has the desire. So I'll go just a few different strategies that you guys can do right now that are crushing it. So on the buy side, if you're going after buyers, and this is going to be a combination of, because I like to be as strategic as possible, because it allows my time to be most efficiently used, and my also cost per acquisition. If I'm doing marketing, I can double my cost or half my cost per acquisition costs, quickly with this. But okay, and this works great for this market right now. So if you look at on the buy side, like we're the prime buyers right now. Okay, so for most markets right now, and you can do them, look into the demographic reports for your market. But most markets right now, we're talking the Gen Xers, right? The 45 plus, really the 45 to 55, subcategory there that are looking for that are move up buyers. So these are people that have been in their house for 10 plus years now, have an abundance of equity, and they've outgrown that property, or they just want something new. But again, they have that equity to go out there and play ball in this market. They can afford the down payment. They can afford the high interest rates. They can go out there, and again, they're sitting on, let's just say $500,000 or $300,000 of equity, whatever that is in their property. But I'm targeting them as move up buyers, right? So, and why I like these is because they have a house to list, and we're able to capture that buy side. So then with that, okay, I'm going to be very strategic when it comes to, okay, like I'm still crushing with paid Facebook ads today. Like we're murdering with paid Facebook ads, but we're making sure with our paid Facebook ads that we are extremely specific. Instead of just saying, oh, here's all the homes for sale in my market, click here. Maybe some general style ads like that worked before in the past. Today, it's not. Again, you got to speak specifically to who you're trying to target. So for me in my market, that is the $600,000 to $900,000 price point. And so my Facebook ad, as an example, would be something like, wow, check out all these amazing homes currently for sale in Peoria, Arizona, all featuring sparkling swimming pools, 2,400 plus square feet, 4 plus bedrooms, 2.5 plus bathrooms, all currently listed between $600,000 and $900,000. For more information, photos, you have info photos, monthly mortgage payment amounts and more. Click learn more button below, right? So, but what I'm saying with that is speaking their language. Anybody that's not interested in that specific type of property isn't going to engage in that ad. And then from there, okay, like I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, so decent size reload market. Okay, well then I go to my city, I find out, okay, what are my city department? I go out there and find out the 2022 demographic reports. Where are people coming from? Right. So not just, okay, like, dude, we have a ton of people from California that are coming here to Phoenix. However, within California's a massive state. There's really only 3 places, man. You got San Francisco Bay Area, you got Riverside, and you got San Diego. So not only do I know the top states, I know the top metros within those states. So I can get very targeted, very specific with my ads to adopt those. Same thing with open houses. When I'm doing open houses, I'm only doing open houses on the properties that they're looking for, that they want. All right. So then now let's, flip it over onto the list side. Because right now, I think all of us want as many listings as we possibly can. Of course, you got FSBOs, you got expireds. Those have always been great, always hot still today. Issue that most of us are experiencing is there's lesser of them. So, okay, who else today has that motivation, has that need, has that desperation? Okay, look at absentee owners. Man, there's 12 million vacant single-family attached properties right now throughout the United States. And a lot of when I'm speaking of absentee owners, who we're really targeting is boomers, baby boomers, that are the vast majority of now in a retirement phase of their life. They're on fixed incomes. Yeah, they might have little to no mortgage on this second or third or fourth home, however many homes that they've acquired now that they're, this home applies for their, under this absentee, niche here. But you got taxes going up, you got, HOAs going up, you got insurance going up, you got life 35% more expensive today than it was 3 years ago. So they're feeling the pinch. So a lot of these, quote unquote snowbirds or people that were having vacation homes, they're having to start making that decision of we need a primary home. So that's a great target to go after today. Then investors. When I say investors, we're talking about investor held properties. So look at your short-term vacation rentals right now, man. You got about 50% of all your Airbnbs on your short-term vacation rentals were acquired post-COVID, right? And then if you look at just Airbnb as example, occupancy rates are the lowest they've been since inception of that company. So in my market, short-term vacation rental occupancy rates are down 52%. So they're cash flowing much less than they thought, much less than they anticipated. They're feeling that pinch. They're feeling that squeeze. Then also when you look at, sorry, my throat's going a little bit on me. Then also when we look at long-term rentals, right? So your typical investors buy and holds. A lot of people think, oh man, these institutions swap all these properties. That's about 20% of them. You got about 80%. So you have 17 million single-family attached rentals, throughout the U.S. So there's an abundance of these, you guys, right? So when we look at 80% of those are owned by just mom and pop people, like just regular people that just have a couple properties or 1 property, 2 properties, 3 properties added to their wealth portfolio, right? Well, 57 of the top 100 metros throughout the United States, so 57 of the top 100 metros, rents are down year over year. So right where most markets, if not all markets, are there's going to always be an exception to the rule, but most are starting to experience cap rate compression. These investors are feeling it. So now the great thing, and I know you're doing a similar strategy, Greg, with rent to owns, but the great thing with them going after these investor, sources is like, look, when I'm reaching out to them, and that's just, hey, Joshua Smith here, XYZ real estate company. I know your time is valuable. I'll be quick. The reason for my call today is I noticed that you own investment property at 123 West Main Street. And I wanted to reach out. A lot of my current investor clients are choose to unload portions of their real estate portfolio due to the local, what's going on with the rental market and due with the local economy. And just wanted to reach out to see if that's something that you're considering. And if so, I'd be more than happy to shoot over the numbers and we can further discuss what that looks like. Right. So I'm just kind of planting that seed. Then based on what they say, usually, because they're hearing me say that, my other investor clients are unloading their portfolio, it creates curiosity. So now I can get into more education of cap rate compression, what that means. Like, you got to, do your due diligence and know your numbers for your market. But then from there, here's the cool thing. Either they're going to list or they're not. But if they don't list, then from there, it's, maybe they're just like, oh no, this property's doing amazing for me. It's performing amazing for me. Well, then from there, I could be like, oh, that's so great to hear. A lot of investor clients that I have and a lot of investors I'm speaking to with aren't in that position. So I'm really glad to hear that. Now, hey, just out of curiosity, if I can find you other potential investment properties that perform as well, if not better than this, are you open to looking at new investment opportunities? right? So then I'm adding them to my investor list. I'm adding them to my network, right, with that. So it's, it's a double win. Then from there, the last tip I'll give right now, because there's a massive opportunity right now. And all of these are just continuing to grow and expand as far as niches. Like we're in infancy stages as far as the opportunities here, with these, but again, this is where the need is, the desire is, and so forth. NODs. Right, so like right now, you got 2.8% of all mortgages throughout the United States that are 30 plus days default. So you got 85 million mortgages. So you got about, almost 3 million homeowners right now throughout the U.S. that are at least 30 days plus in default. You got the average person in the middle class getting fucking crushed right now with this economy. They might have equity in that property, but if they had, like the common thing I hear from realtors is, well, why wouldn't they just refi? Well, dude, if you can't afford life as is, you're not going to be able to refi, pull out money, increase your mortgage rate, increase that note. Plus, you're probably not going to be able to qualify. Now, if you're going to go after NODs, my recommendation is to be versed on short sales, because what we're finding now is anybody that's really bought since late 2020, early 2021 is going to be in a negative equity position. So there's going to be a contingent of them that you need to help with the short sale. And then there's going to be a contingent of them that have enough equity to be able to sell it, come clean with the bank, and then you can help them go find a rental property. But again, these are just examples of, there is demand out there. There is desire. Yeah, you might have to go work the phones 4 hours a day to go out there and create these opportunities. But if you do that, like if you're pounding the phone, man, every single day for 3-4 hours, there's no reason why you're not listing 3 or 4 properties a week.
I think his microphone is smoking right now.
I know. I'm just going to shut up and see if he was going to reload and breathe. Good Lord, that was awesome.
I know we were going long. I felt bad, a little bit bad, because we were talking about stuff, but I'm like, people are probably wondering, like, what do I actually do? So I wanted to make sure we added a little bit of that.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Really, really good, Josh, because you obviously are a practitioner. And you know your numbers, you know your market, you know where to look, you know how to grow. You looked at it at different angles. You're playing 4 to 5D chess instead of single D chess when you're just looking at one dimension and going, oh, well, I should just do this. Oh, well, why don't we tack on a few more things here and really understand the entire picture? So, guys, I want you to do number one. I want you to go and subscribe to GSD Mode. You're going to get a lot more of Joshua, his phenomenal guests. I've been honored to be on the show, I think 2 or 3 times. I think 3. I'm not sure. I think at least 2. Anyways, I think Josh is your 3rd time on our show. And the knowledge, because I watch his show, I watch our show, that he's got great guests. Go follow him. You have a boot camp that's ongoing on a consistent basis. How do people plug in? How do they become a part of your ecosystem?
Yeah, so I'm in gsdmode.com. You can really learn about me. You can connect to the podcast. You can learn more about my coaching mentorship program. Schedule a call with me to talk about it. There's also a video on there that you can check out with that. You can check out my software. GSD Mode, you can kind of see everything that's going on in my world. Okay,
gsdmode.com. Go there, guys, immediately. Gene Volpe, give me some thoughts here, buddy.
Reps. I would go back and watch this again. Check out the GSD podcast. I mean, dude spits fire. It's not anything that we haven't seen in the last 4 or 5 years. So.
Okay, with that endorsement, everyone's going to go listen to that show. No, it's honestly phenomenal, guys. Go do it. Nick Sackis, give us some of your final thoughts.
So many takeaways. From the beginning of the show, put a plan into place so you can't fail. Take ultimate accountability. Know yourself, and self-awareness is something I think Josh is excellent at. Right. Mm-hmm. So knowing that he had the drinking problem. I don't have a drinking problem. I have a food problem. It's a very similar thing. When I first lost 200 pounds a couple years ago, it was that same scenario where I had to remove myself from situations. Wasn't going to family picnic. Like you had to do, certain foods couldn't be in the house. So that's powerful. And then adapting with the market. And the last 10 minutes of this show where he just basically gave you guys a playbook on what you should be going after for the next 12 months was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And, I approve his message. Let's put it that way.
Is Nick approved?
Yeah, especially with the Facebook ads, right? I live and die with Facebook ads. I've been doing that for over a decade too. And everything that he said about targeting the people, speaking exactly to the person with the exact offer that they want to hear, like all that stuff is exactly what I do in my software that he's teaching people. So definitely, I can again, approve that message. So.
Nice. All right. Josh, final thoughts from you, and then we're going to wrap this thing up, man. I know that you're running close on time for your next meeting.
Yeah, I would just say that, look, man, now is the time to get to work. I mean, this is what I'm preaching to my agents every day, all day, man, is this isn't the time to seek balance. This is a time, like, you got to make a decision of, hey, man, either I'm going to make this thing or I'm going to become a statistic, right? Like, this is not a market and a time for the interested. I'm not nearly as optimistic as most about this. I think that we are looking much more like 1938 versus 2008. So now I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm going to hope for the best, plan for the worst. So I am planning and prepping for something at the same magnitude of size, if not worse, than the Great Depression. Now, hopefully it doesn't come to fruition, but I'm just telling you right now, from everything that I see and behind the scenes and shit that most people don't have awareness of, that aren't looking at, when look behind the scene, start unpacking the financial system and unpacking shit that's going on behind the scenes, dude. Again, like, you need to go out there and get to work. So work your ass off, put the right strategies, commit to going out there and dominating this industry. There's no better industry than ours. Like where else can you take a loser like me, and within college dropout loser like me, and then within 6 months, you're making as much as doctor or attorneys. Like, I've never seen an industry where there's more opportunities available to be had than our amazing industry that we're all involved in. So, go get yours.
Yeah, guys, go do it. Go. We want to thank you for watching and listening. This has been an awesome show. Joshua, thanks for coming back and spending some time with us. You have dropped knowledge bombs as per normal. So appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. Gene and Nick, you guys are legends in my mind. Thank you for always being here, being incredible co-hosts, and always doing an incredible amount of stuff behind the scenes. 3 of you guys stay put. For the rest of you guys, until next time, peace out, ninjas. We gone.